In 1881, top union leaders from all over the nation met in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to make plans for a nationwide federation of unions. The idea being to bring many different kinds of unions together into one big union, kind of like putting them all under one big umbrella. Sam was one of the main organizers of this convention and was often the center of the hot debates that filled the meetings.
A new organization must reach all men who labor.
Oh, when you say all men, do you mean both skilled and unskilled workers, white and black?
I most certainly do. We do not want to leave out any working man who believes in and belongs to organized labor.
But this new federation, I'm told, is able to turn down local unions that don't belong to national unions. And to me, this just ain't fair.
And I agree. It'd be dangerous to admit some and turn others away.
You are both wrong. We want everybody. We must all stand together.
The delegates got to work and set down a number of rules which would give the new federation a clear-cut purpose and program.
We must have strong insurance and welfare programs so that when members are ill, they will receive help. We must build up large savings of money so that we can help those members who are either striking or out of work. We must strive to make our factories safe and clean. We must do away with the shame of child labor. And we must put an end to all conspiracy laws so that we can meet on even ground with the employers to work out fair and decent rules for collective bargaining.
Conspiracy laws were special laws used by employers to make the unions look like they were breaking the law. Collective bargaining takes place when organized union workers and their employers come to an agreement on such things as wages, working hours, and working conditions. Now, the delegates at that Pittsburgh meeting called themselves the Federation of Organized Trades and Labor Unions. 5 years later, this group was reorganized as the American Federation of Labor, and Sam Gompers was elected president. Well, the Federation needed members, so Sam, as president, went out to recruit them. He spoke with workers at their factories and in their local union meetings. He drank beer with them at the corner saloon. He learned to work, eat, and sleep on the road, and he kept talking to the workers, always talking.
The trade union's most powerful weapon is the strike. It is the best way to get immediate improvements in your working conditions and your living standards. It is an honest way to show your employer that you are dissatisfied with your jobs. But strikes must be used only as a last resort. You must do all in your power to come to an agreement. Only when that has failed should a strike be called.
Now, in those early days, many strikes not only failed, but turned into disasters in which property was destroyed and people killed. By the early 1900s, the unions were beginning to make some headway in the nation's labor movement. However, there were still a number of conditions which needed to be corrected, like long working hours, dirty, unsafe factories, child labor, and the law that said that the worker, not the employer, was responsible if he was hurt on the job. There were other working conditions too, but perhaps the most important was the use of the injunction against unions. Injunctions were legal orders from a court of law which prevented unions from bargaining with employers and carrying out strikes. Now, the power of the courts, together with the wealth and influence of the employers, was often enough to defeat the unions. So naturally, the unions wanted other laws which would stop the courts from interfering in labor disputes. And Sam Gompers was right in the middle of things, fighting for those laws. And he was arrested many times for his efforts.
Sam Gompers, you are about as stubborn as a mule. Furthermore, I find your conduct vulgar and defiant. You and your fellow unionists go about the land stirring up violence between worker and employer. You are troublemakers who have brought lawlessness and unrest to the working classes. Have you anything to say before sentence is passed?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Then speak your piece.
If it please the court, I would like to say that injunctions are illegal.
To you they are. The law of the land is not illegal, Mr. Gompers.
Your Honor, may I continue with my statement?
Very well. Get on with it.
Injunctions, legal or illegal, deprive honest, hard-working citizens the chance to fight for their rights. Now, when unions are served with injunctions, they have to prove they are innocent. Now, even a criminal under the Constitution is considered innocent until proven guilty.
I think you have said enough, Mr. Gompers.
Well, not quite, Your Honor. I have one last comment. Now, many employers today believe that they own their workers the same way you would own a machine or a carload of coal. We are all free men with the right to make the best of our lives. Now, you cannot weigh a human soul on the same scales on which you weigh a piece of bark.
During World War I, Gompers pledged the wholehearted support of the American Federation of Labor to the war effort. He organized a war committee on labor made up of both union workers and employers. Well, it didn't take long for people to realize that the unions were playing a tremendous part in the wartime industry. It was estimated that it took 20 workers to supply one soldier. So Sam went to the government officials in Washington, D.C., and argued that equal attention would have to be given to both soldier and worker. Because of this, he was allowed to call an emergency conference of employer and union representatives in which the following rules were agreed upon.
Workers are free to join a union and bargain collectively through representatives of their own choosing. Employers will not try to keep workers from joining unions, and unions cannot force other workers to join. Wherever there is an 8-hour work day, it will remain so. Safety and health regulations in the factories will remain so. All workers, including common laborers, have a right to a wage that will give them the chance to live in health and reasonable comfort.
These were historic principles. They gave new importance to the goals for which the unions had fought for so long. And then in 1917, President Woodrow Wilson made a historic visit, the first of any U.S. president, to the American Federation of Labor's annual convention.
The President of the United States can no longer ignore the nation's trade unions. Labor's great part in the war effort has been a major force that will help lead us to victory. While we are fighting for freedom, we must see that labor is also free, that the working conditions of labor are fair and safe, and that the means by which these conditions are improved are not blocked by anyone for any reason.
Among his many accomplishments as a pioneer of labor, Sam Gompers helped bring about the Workmen's Compensation Law, which provides the payment of medical bills for workers injured on the job. He helped to establish Labor Day as a national holiday, and he helped create the nation's Department of Labor. More than any man, Sam Gompers was responsible for the shaping of a strong union movement in the United States, and after World War I, helped set up a worldwide labor organization that offered help and hope to millions of workers in many parts of the world. The American Federation of Labor had given him no power to order or command. His only tool had been persuasion, and at that he was a master. Today, his vision and his courage still influence the unions that represent about 1 of every 4 persons who work in the nation's industries and businesses. Sam Gompers had been a powerful force in creating a movement that worked, not for selfish gain or profit, but for the immediate improvement in the living standards of the working man and woman.
The preceding program was made possible in part by a grant from the Ohio State Department of Education.